de Santa Marta, soy monteriana, pero eso sí, yo soy colombiana, por tierra hermosa donde nací. Yo soy colombiana, por tierra hermosa donde nací. Como soy la reina que hace la corte, mi novio violín, me enamoro un piano, me sigue un saxo, oigo un clarín, y toda una orquesta forma una fiesta en torno de mí. Y ya soy la cumbia, la hembra coqueta, bailo feliz. Y ya soy la cumbia, la hembra coqueta, bailo feliz. Yo nací en las bellas playas caribes de mi país. Soy barranquillera, cartagenera, yo soy de allí. Soy de Santa Marta, soy monteriana, pero eso sí, yo soy colombiana, por tierra hermosa donde nací. Yo soy colombiana, por tierra hermosa donde nací. Y mis ojos son un par de maracas que ves el sol y enredo en la luna con las estrellas toda mi voz. Yo soy colombiana. Oh, tierra hermosa, ¿dónde estabas tú? ¿Dónde estabas tú? ¿Dónde estabas tú? ¿Dónde estás? José Inés, que ayer fue a buscarte y no te hallé. Te llevaste los cueros, el quinto y el tren, y por tu culpa suspendimos el bebé. ¿Dónde estabas tú? Yo fui a buscarte con Lola, Tomasa y Merced. ¿Dónde estabas tú? ¿Dónde tú estabas, José? ¿Dónde estabas tú? fue conmigo que yo como candela. ¿Dónde estabas tú? Y por tu culpa suspendimos el 20. Voy a hacer, rebuscando en las heridas del pasado. Voy a beber, yo no quiero ser un tipo de otro lado. A tu manera es complicado, el análisis que te llega a todos lados. Un vallenato desesperado, una cantica que yo guardo desde el vivir. Me soñé que te quiero tanto, ese rato está en mi corazón. Haciendo por ti, haciendo por ti. Aquí yo guardo desde el vivir. Me soñé que te quiero tanto, ese rato está en mi corazón. Haciendo por ti, haciendo por ti. Caminando relajada entre la gente. Yo te quiero así. Y me gustas porque eres diferente. A mi manera, de pelucado, en una bici que me lleva a todos lados. Un vallenato desesperado, una cantiga que me guardaba desde el vivir. Que me soñé que te quiero tanto, ese rato está en mi corazón. Lo quiero por ti, lo quiero por ti. Aquí yo guardaba desde el vivir. Que me soñé que te quiero tanto, ese rato está en mi corazón. Lo quiero por ti, lo quiero por ti. Mi favorita me que cante las olas, se pone su cadera como bote en las olas. Tiene los pies de casa como un niño que adora. Su cabello blanco son un sol que te antoja. Le gusta que le digan que la niña es la lola. Le gusta que la miren cuando ella baila sola. Le gusta más la casa que no va a ser sola. Le gusta Barranquilla, le gusta Barcelona. Llévame en tu bicicleta. Oye, mi carro, llévame en tu bicicleta. Quiero que recorramos juntos esta zona. Desde esta cama hasta la de Rosa. Llévame en tu bicicleta. Pa' que juguemos para la bayoneta. Que se te quedó una de muertos en Bayona. Que no querráis ir a Barcelona. A mi manera, es complicado. En una bici que me lleva a todos lados. Un vallenato desesperado, una cantica que yo guardo desde el vivir. Que me sueñe que te quiero tanto, ese rato está mi corazón. Lo quiero por ti, lo quiero por ti. Que yo guardo desde el vivir. Que me sueñe que te quiero tanto, ese rato está mi corazón. Lo quiero por ti, lo quiero por ti. Llévame en tu bicicleta, oye mi cama, llévame en tu bicicleta. Que se te quedó una de muertos en Bayona. Que no querráis ir a Barcelona. Llévame en tu bicicleta, oye mi cama, llévame en tu bicicleta. Que se me pique no le muertos en Bayona. Que no querráis ir a Barcelona. Hi, everybody. My name's Carsie Blanton. Thank you for being here. I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm happy to be partnering with East Bay Sanctuary Covenant for this evening of community connection and stories in support of immigrants and asylum seekers.
I'm going to start by playing a song of mine called Be Good, and then I'll be joining you again at the end of the program for a little mini concert. So this song, Be Good, is for all the people who work hard to make other people's lives better. I know that work can be frustrating at times, so I'm here to say thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Jesus Christ was a handsome man. He had nothing to hide. He said, give bread to the hungry, bring the homeless inside. Jesus Christ was a dangerous man. That's the way that he died, saying, be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. Dr. King was a preacher. He had God on his side. He said, all God's children are brothers. Don't cast your brother aside. Dr. King was a dangerous man. That's the way that he died, saying, be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. There ain't nothing more criminal than kindness. There ain't nothing more valuable than blindness. They'll make anyone a martyr who remind us everybody got a right to be free. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love and love everybody alive. Love everybody alive. Love everybody alive. Thank you.
Welcome and thank you for being here. My name is Ada Recinos and I'm a proud board member at East Bay Sanctuary Covenant. While we are sorry that we're still not able to gather in person, we are excited to connect virtually with all of you. Our themes for the spring reception are emergence, hope, opening into this new moment, solidarity, and celebrating our community. And that includes you. While we hope that we won't have any major technical glitches, if you need to tech support at any time, you can either text 510-423-3376 or email events@eastbaysanctuary.org. That is 510-423-3376. All right, before we go any further, we'd like to acknowledge that while we are so grateful to be here and create space to connect and celebrate immigrant rights, most of us are currently residing on stolen and occupied land. We acknowledge also the Indigenous communities who have been forced to migrate to the US from Latin America and around the world, some of whom are EBSC clients. We encourage all of us to learn more about the Indigenous groups who have historically and currently lived on the land we occupy, and offer reparations in the form of land taxes, inheritance, and land returns. Now, we're so grateful for the ceasefire and the latest violence between Israel and Palestine, and we join our voices with so many others to call an end to all violence and for peace. Palestinians make up 1/3 of worldwide refugees, and EBSC reaffirms our commitment to uphold the human rights of Palestinians. We'd like to share a traditional dance suggested by our friends at NorCal Sable, a nonprofit dedicated to advancing peace and justice. The purpose of this dance is to share some historical narratives and vibrant folk legacies. I really hope you enjoy it. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little piece of Palestinian culture. We have a sensational program for you today. The event tonight is an opportunity to highlight the decades of work by honorees and community members and younger activists who are keeping this work going. Today is a celebration and also a fundraising event that will help to keep our programs going and growing. We do have a text to donate feature that makes gifting today to support EBSC's mission as easy as sending a text, I promise. For those of you who are tech savvy, you can simply text EBSC to 91999 as shown on your screen right now. And for those of you who are not as tech savvy or don't want to do the texting, do not worry. You can also email us at events@eastspacesanctuary.org or make a donation in whatever way feels comfortable to you. I have some really exciting news. Thanks to the generosity of a group of EBSC supporters today, Kathy Puh and Josh Maddox, the Tiedemann family, and an anonymous donor, we're thrilled to announce that all donations made from now through the end of May will be doubled up to $5,000. So each dollar you donate can be matched up to $5,000. So that's easy. Let's get to $5,000 right now. We are so grateful for all of you, our community of supporters, for helping to make this work possible. For now, we invite you to sit back and listen to this update from Alex Chrysalis, EBSC staff attorney.
Thank you, Ada. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking to all of you this evening. My name is Alex Chrysalis, and as Ada mentioned, I am one of the staff attorneys here at EBSC. Before delving into an update about our work during the pandemic, I'd like to start off by sharing a brief personal anecdote about a few reasons the work that we do here at EBSC is so important to me personally. I was raised by two amazing and incredible role models from Colombia and Greece who immigrated to the US. They came searching for better opportunities for themselves and, of course, their child. But like many, they faced language barriers, cultural differences, and institutional obstacles that oftentimes made their journey much more challenging. As a child, I remember my aunt working with internally displaced people in Colombia, which until Syria in 2011 accounted for the highest number of internally displaced people in the world. Of course, the term internally displaced is not synonymous with refugee or asylee, since they continue to live within their country's borders, but many of the realities are the same. I remember being fascinated by the stories of people she met, how inspiring I thought they were, and as a roughly 12-year-old boy around the same time, I remember that being one of the first times I recall wanting to work to make a difference in other people's lives. Fast forward many years, as an intern and later an attorney here at EBSC, I've been able to meet some of the most inspiring individuals, listen to their stories, help guide them through the daunting US immigration system, and perhaps most importantly, learn a great deal from them. I strive to make my clients feel heard, represented every day, and I'm constantly reminded of how fortunate I am to be a part of their journeys. Now, there's no doubt that this past year we've been through many challenges in this past year, including the shutdown of government offices, the complete halt in asylum and other types of interviews, and of course, the resulting delays in processing times for many of our cases. As a staff, we've tried to maintain the same level of interaction with our clients, all while working remotely, recognizing that a great deal of our work involves people opening up to us about very intimate and vulnerable details of their lives. Albeit sometimes difficult, we've adapted by conducting virtual interviews, meeting clients outside in the parking lot, and adopting an incredibly flexible schedule. I'll speak for myself at least. The past year has, of course, impacted many of our clients on a personal level as well. Many have lost their jobs and sometimes their capacity to renew their work permits, and many are still in urgent need of food assistance and rent assistance, all the while dealing with legal uncertainties. I'm proud to say that EBSC has managed to create a number of cash assistance funds, working with partners to distribute around $250,000 to around 500 households experiencing COVID-related economic hardships. Our team has also amped up wraparound support services, creating comprehensive resources on mental health, unemployment, and public benefits. Unfortunately, the effects of the pandemic continue to be felt across our community, and we're currently exploring ways to begin to provide more in-person services while continuing some of our programs virtually. On a policy level, it should come to no surprise to many of you watching that a lot of work needs to be done to reimagine our immigration system. The effects of Trump's policies remain and likely will for a long time. But a few critical topics that to begin addressing include the surge of unaccompanied minors entering the US, the trauma of family separation, slow processes of family reunification, and the desperate need to overhaul our asylum system. COVID has undoubtedly exacerbated the effects of Trump's policies as well, most noticeably with the enforcement of Title 42, which authorizes deportations on the ground of public health risks. The Title 42 policy took effect during Trump's administration, but has yet to be addressed by Biden's. We and other immigrant legal service organizations are doing what we can to support our clients navigate this difficult system, and we're hopeful that necessary reforms will take place in the coming months and years. And we, of course, are very thankful for all of you who continue to show up and support EBSC in any way you can, and supporting our immigrant communities as well. And now, I'm pleased to introduce our first honoree of the evening. Ying Liu started as a volunteer at EBSC during her first year of law school and later coordinated the NACARA program to help asylum seekers from Nicaragua, El Salvador, Cuba, Guatemala, and countries of the former Soviet Union attain legal residency and relief from deportation. Over the years, Ying has used her legal skills and creative passions to create skits about immigrants and their rights, help immigrants with career training programs, and most recently, help immigrant families during the pandemic to access housing and other types of resources. An accomplished actor and filmmaker, Ying has acted in films and produced documentaries about the Bay Area and paranormal investigations. It's our distinct pleasure to name Ying as one of our 2021 Sanctuary Champions.
So I found out about East Bay Sanctuary Covenant through a flyer on the wall at school when I was a law student at Cal, and I had no idea what adventure I was going to be in for. I started volunteering as a representative for the asylum clients, and the experience was so amazing I kept coming back and eventually got hired and started coordinating the NACARA program. While I was there, it was crazy, a good kind of crazy. In addition to our clients who had appointments, we had people constantly coming in throughout the day as drop-ins, waiting outside for our help for hours. The phone was constantly ringing off the hook. We were running from our clients to the waiting room to answer the phones. We have Sister Maureen, a tiny Irish nun, going out all times of the day and night to help people. We have Michael, the anarchist in the asylum program, going crazy with all the cases, almost pulling out his hair. And then there were staff like me, Marilena, Manuel, just holding down the fort, and all the wonderful volunteers that were coming through. It was really like the emergency room of the legal world. We were constantly trying to triage situations and figure out who we can help and how to prioritize them. And I just remember some really special cases came by. Two that really stick with me are One man came to me and said that he was really scared that his brother may have died in the desert. He somehow got detached from the group he was traveling with and nobody knew where he went. So as an ACAR coordinator, I had never done this before. I didn't even know where to start, but this was the nature of the work there. You always have to be on your feet and deal with whatever situation comes through the door. So I just started doing research, started making all these calls. At first we couldn't find his brother, and I could just see the fear in this man, increasing. And so we kept calling, and then finally we figured out, wait, maybe he was using an alias. So we figured out an alias he possibly could have been using, and through that we were able to locate him in one of the detention centers. And the relief I saw in this man's face was just such a special moment. And this is one of the cases that really sticks with me. Another one was this lady who came from a country where she had experienced a great deal of violence, including domestic violence from several people. She won asylum here, but unfortunately she got into a fight with her boyfriend in the United States, and it escalated to another domestic violence situation. And in her attempt to defend herself, she slightly hurt him, and so she was charged with domestic violence. And this was jeopardizing her asylum status. She could have lost it because of this. So I worked calling different lawyers, meeting with them after work, and through a bunch of teamwork, we were able to figure out a way to help her so she could keep her asylum and also petition for her kids to come. So these are just an example of some of the amazing cases that we had to deal with, and there's just like countless more in addition to that. So I truly feel really, really fortunate that I was able to work on these. And I met so many wonderful clients as well, and cross paths with people that I would never meet in any other job. And I got to have some wonderful experiences with these clients. For example, I was invited to an Eritrean wedding. A Tibetan monk invited me to attend his meditation course. I went to parties with refugees at Casa Esperanza. One of our clients from Nepal got a job at Alcatraz and gave me and my family a free private tour on Alcatraz Island. I am truly so grateful for the connections I made, the people I met, and for all the opportunities to help people who just want to go to a place where they can live in peace and make a new life for themselves. There were just so many amazing stories that came through the office, and I just feel so lucky that I could be a part of that for several years. And I hope that this wonderful work continues on for years and years. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Sister Maureen and everyone at EBSC. I feel so honored to be part of this program. And I feel so lucky to be part of the EBSC, extended family. My time there was truly formative. It inspires me in everything I do now, and it changes the way I see the world and the way I see politics and just people around me. And I'm still amazed that thousands of lives have been changed for the better in this basement in a church, and I really hope that thousands more will be helped in the future as well. And right now, I'd like to introduce an EBSC client from Eritrea who would like to share his story.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ying, for the introduction. I am an EBSC client and an asylum seeker from Eritrea. In the 1980s, my dad fled to Sudan when civil war broke out during the liberation movement. 30 years later, unfortunately, I did the same thing. I was born in exile in Saudi Arabia when my parents were refugees there. My mother and I went back to our country after independence, and my father never fully trusted the authorities, so he stayed behind. He later moved back in 2002 to reunite with us. I was conscripted into the military at the young age of 16, which was mandatory for every Eritrean. It was very tough, and there were a lot of freedoms that got swept aside. I had to obey, and I had to follow orders, and I couldn't question anything. There were a lot of freedoms and collective punishments that were arbitrary and excessive. We were all traumatized by these experiences, unfortunately. And people are afraid at just an individual and family level. When someone gets conscripted into that system, it's open-ended, it's almost impossible to get out. And the other thing is Eritrea is a very small place. So it's easy for the government to find you, and that helps the dictatorship exert total control over the movement, how people act, and if you're on the wrong side of the dictatorship, life can quickly take a wrong turn. And this is just for the average person. If you're high level and an active part of the opposition, things can be much worse. For example, there used to be this president's assistant when it comes to media. His name was Ali Abdu, and his daughter was disappeared because he decided to defect. Another person is Mr. Burhan Abrahe, who was head of finance. He published a book that was critical of the government, and now his whereabouts are unknown. So to get back to my story, after I completed my undergrad, after the military training in Sawa, I tried to stay apolitical for a while, but things just got progressively worse in Eritrea, so I attempted to escape. My first attempt, I wasn't successful. I was caught and I was roughed up. But on my second attempt, I was fortunately able to escape to Sudan, and I went to a refugee screening camp there. When I didn't report for duty for my national service, my mother, people reached out to her from the military, and she was intimidated, including my siblings, and still 4 of my siblings are part of that military service right now. So this just goes back to show you that we have a very untenable situation back home. When I finally made it to the United States in 2015, I was fortunate to hear about the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant. I was considering applying for asylum, but I couldn't afford to pay lawyers. And I got a lot of really good assistance from EBSC. And it felt safe to talk about my situation. People really helped me out from the moment I stepped in all the way to winning my asylum. Eritrea is a very hard place right now. Our situation is precarious and the need for asylum is very real. We were hoping for a lot of freedoms after the independence between 91 and 93, but for the last almost 30 years now, it's been nothing but misery. And the need for asylum is here, very dear and near, and hopefully I wish for the best for my people. Now that I'm here, what I look forward to do is to help people in low-income communities with education as part of the tech industry, which is what I'm passionate about. Thank you for listening to my story and for supporting asylum seekers.
Thank you so much to Alex, Ying, and Fethi for sharing your stories and your insights. I'm incredibly inspired. The time has come for us to help EBSC keep doing what it does best, change lives. We've created a very simple way for all of you to contribute tonight. And remember, your contribution will be doubled through the Match Challenge, up to $5,000 until May 31st. We're aiming to reach our 40,000 goal tonight, which will help us continue to support low-income immigrants during the pandemic and beyond. I know that events like these, you're often asked to turn your phones off, but today we're asking you to take your phones out. Can everyone please take their phones out? I'm going to show you how to do the text to donate. Super simple. So you're going to go to your cell phone. You're going to open up a new text message. You're going to send it to 91999. You're going to text EBSC. Doesn't matter if it's capitalized, it's going to go through. It can be uppercase or lowercase, not case sensitive, so don't worry about it. You're going to then type a space and you're going to type the amount that you want to donate. It'll pre-fill this out for you. Doesn't need to be a $sign. No amount is too big or too small, especially not too big. Type in another space. Finally, you're going to add your name. So I'm going to type in Ada Recinos. Okay, now that that's filled out, you can also remain anonymous. That's an option. You don't have to enter your name, but you can hit send. You're going to send that text message through. You're going to get a link that says, thanks for supporting EBSC. Click here to complete. So you're going to go ahead and click. It's going to take you to the app for mobile cause. And it's pre-filled out with the gift amount, the one that I put, my name, Ada Recinos, and my information since I donated before. That's super helpful. Thank you, Mobile Cause. So again, if you need a little bit of help, you can feel free to email events@EastBaySanctuary to make your donation that way. But you're gonna fill out your info, give now. Sounds good. All right, so after you hit send, you'll get a text message in response. So now you can enter in all that credit card information. Again, if you need more support, feel free to email events@eastbaysanctuary.org to make your pledge. So now that I've already kicked off today's pledging campaign, you can see that we already have a wonderful number of gifts. Thank you so much, all of you, for taking initiative today. All I ask is, let's try to hit that goal tonight. I think we can make it to 40,000, and the match is really gonna help us. So make sure you text in EBSC 91999 or email events@eastbaysanctuary.org. Thank you so much, Monica, Malcolm, Jewel, Nancy, Nancy Powell, and Nancy Griffith. Beautiful, thank you so much. Renee, this is very exciting to see. Look at this beautiful community we have. Mary Ellen Fine, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you all for contributing and participating here with us tonight. And so now we're gonna head back into our program with a beautiful poetry performance by one of our EBSC asylum clients, Irma Gallegos. Enjoy.
My name is Irma Gallegos, and I will performing How Borders Collapse. Ophelia and Luis, Mary and Sophia, line their cars at the border wall and stick their fingers through its rust mouth. Sugar deep in the crevices of their hands. The dead come to meet them. Not a translucent ghost, but alive. They park their cars in the US and Mexico, their arms full of sunflower seeds, full of new beginnings. Even Angel's grandfather has come to tell stories of how he died in the wrong side of the border. He wants us to understand why he stayed in the US alive and how he hates this city's Christmas lit star, and how he'd prefer the white rocks of the sister. He says, the cities have become so bright. The dead can't sleep their 8 hours. He said, the cities are virgin again, and soon no one tells the difference between the shanties of this colonia and the iron gates of that neighborhood. He puts a finger in each ear. The noise of the living is bothersome. This morning, everyone in the cities is alive again. Their eyes open the sun, their fingers collapsing chain, link by link. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much to Irma for so beautifully reading that poem. Hi, I'm Ella Banerjee. I'm from Voice of Witness, one of the partner organizations who gets to work with EBSC. And I'm very honored today to introduce our next sanctuary champion, Luz Hernandez. I first got to meet Luz a few years ago in 2018. Luz, under the pseudonym Soledad Castillo, is one of the narrators in our Voice of Witness oral history book, Solita Solita, Crossing Borders with Youth Refugees from Central America. In Solita Solita, Luz and the other narrators in the book, in their own words and through first-person narratives, shared their experiences of challenges and of resilience as they leave Central America for various reasons and make the very difficult journey to seek asylum in the United States. So when I first met Luz, she was not only about to share her story so generously in the book Solita Solita, but she was actually working actively with our education team to help develop a curriculum so that the book could be shared with students in classrooms all across the country. And that is just Luz completely.
She consistently goes above and beyond to make an impact and support other people in the community, whether as a voice of witness narrator, as a member of our educational advisory board, her work as a housing case manager, the many different advocacy workshops she's led at EBSC, or her new journey starting this fall where she'll be earning her master's in social welfare at UC Berkeley. Luce is not just an incredibly inspiring and incredibly strong person, but she's someone who's dedicated to creating a space where people can feel seen and heard and where they can heal and move forward. And I just want to share this quote from Luce in the letter she wrote to the students who would read her story and learn from her story. And I think it really captures her powerful connection with other people. She writes for those students, sharing our experiences was a way toward healing, and we felt like it was our duty to tell society what happened to us so others can relate and learn. Our stories helped us accept and love ourselves, and we would never be the people we are today without our experiences. We hope Solito Solita and its lesson plans inspire students to tell their own stories, share their own experiences, and stand up for others around them. I'm so lucky to get to work with Luce and to call her my friend, and now to introduce her as a 2021 Sanctuary Champion. Congratulations, Luce.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Ella. What an honor to be here today. I wanted to say so much. First, I want to thank EBSC Sanctuary for, honoring me today. What a bless. And I wouldn't be here today without the support of all the people that's being next to me, pushing me to do better every day. When I came to the U.S., I immigrated to the U.S. when I was 14 years old, and I feel lost. We come to this country to achieve the American dream. And when I came here, I was, I became homeless. I didn't speak the language. I didn't speak English. I got into the foster care system where I was mistreated. I didn't have a connection with my family, so I was devastating, and knowing that I didn't know where to go or where to ask for support. That's why now that I have become more stable, I had dedicated my career and my life right now to support other youth going through the same struggles that I went through. In Honduras, I grew up with poverty, domestic violence, and my dream was always to go to school. But in our communities, in our country, there's so much poverty that all that you can achieve is just to go to the 6th grade. And I always told my mom, I want to go to school, but we couldn't afford it. But I always have that inspiration to be more, to get to achieve more. And it wasn't easy. I remember I went to City College of San Francisco, and I remember crying for hours in the corner of the school, telling myself, I'm not gonna be able to graduate from college. This is so hard. I can't do it. And I would cry for days. And it was so hard, but thank God I find that support, amazing teachers, Stephen and Jonathan, that they demonstrated me that support, that they were there for me. So I have been blessed to have a lot of support around me, and I want to be that person for someone else. If I want to be that face. When I saw Jonathan and Stephen and a lot of people who has been supporting me, I was relieved to tell myself, you got this. It's okay sometimes to cry, and I don't want to pretend that I'm strong every day. I want to feel that I have the support. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I recently got accepted to UC Berkeley, as Ella mentioned, and my hope is to make the foster care system better and continue supporting other youth and to achieve their dreams. And as Ella mentioned, I have the honor of facilitating workshops for members of the EBSC Sanctuary community who have temporary protected status. And now I would like to introduce Vanessa Velasco, who has been a leader in the campaign for permanent residency.
Thank you, Luz, and good afternoon to all. It is a pleasure to be a part of the annual EBSC Spring Reception. My name is Vanessa Velasco. I'm an immigrant from El Salvador. I'm a TPS beneficiary and the Community Advocacy and Engagement Coordinator at Cares in San Francisco. First, I'd like to take a moment to express my appreciation to Sister Maureen, Lisa Hoffman, and the incredible EBSC team for their hard work and commitment to the immigrant community in the Bay Area. I'm grateful for the love and support to me and my family and many other TPS families in the Bay Area, and their partnership with Cares in San Francisco, National TPS Alliance, and other organizations working hand in hand in the TPS Permanent Residency Campaign. In 2018, the Trump administration shattered the world of more than 325,000 hardworking men and women around the nation when he decided to end TPS. Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, is a temporary immigrant status created by Congress that allows individuals already in the United States to remain if something catastrophic happens in their country of origin, such as floods, earthquakes, armed conflicts, to prevent their safe return. These programs allow them to live and work legally in the United States. Among those impacted by this arbitrary decision were my husband and me. We came to the United States almost 20 years ago and been under the TPS for more than 20 years. As a young couple, TPS opened the door for us. We bought our first house 2 years after we arrived in the United States. We secured economic stability for ourselves and our growing family. We're proud parents of 3 beautiful children. Our eldest daughter is in her last year of undergraduate school at UC Berkeley. Our sweet Diana will start her junior at high school. She plans to pursue a career in the medical field and our little second grader. They are everything to us. They are the reason why we become involved in the different efforts that TPS holders and organizations around the nation are doing to urge the Biden administration and Congress to give them a path that leads to a permanent residency. TPS holders and their families are at risk to losing everything they worked so hard to achieve in the next few months. If the Biden administration or Congress does not act, around half of the TPS population are essential workers. TPS holders work in key essential industries such as healthcare, food industry, transportation, delivery, and warehousing. They have not stopped working during these challenging times. They keep our community safe, clean, and fed. They deserve better. TPS beneficiaries deserve to wake up every morning and not worry about being separated from their children and deported to countries that are not ready to receive them. Last month, I had the opportunity to join a delegation from the Bay Area of TPS holders and allies who traveled to DC to support the TPS hunger strike. These brave TPS men and women carrying on their shoulders at Freedom Plaza for 43 days the desperation of the thousands of families of TPS holders. Also, we join our brothers and sisters that came to DC from around the country for the May 1st march. Together, we march and call on Congress to give a path to citizenship for TPS, DACA, farm workers, essential workers, and the 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S. It is time to stop calling them essential, but consider them deportables. You can support TPS holders and their families by calling or email your senators and federal elected representatives and ask them to include TPS, DACA, farm workers, and essential workers in the next budget reconciliation package, or pass legislation in the Senate such as the DREAM and Promise Act to ensure a path to permanent residency. Also, you can donate to get involved in the work EBSC is doing to support the TPS families. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. We're honored to work in partnership with you and the 400,000 TPS holders who are fighting for a path to permanent residency. And now it's my honor to introduce William Bill Tamayo. After starting as a law clerk, Bill Tamayo worked at the Asian Law Caucus from 1979 to 1995 as a staff attorney and a managing attorney, where he specialized in employment discrimination, immigrant rights, and voting rights. Throughout his work, he was guided by the principles of protecting the most vulnerable, especially undocumented immigrants at risk of deportation. In 1986, he was the lead lawyer for Oakland's effort to declare itself a city of refuge in the early years of the sanctuary movement. Later, he co-led the legal team that developed the self-petitioning provisions for battered immigrant women under the Violence Against Women Act in 1995, through over which 120,000 women and their children have been able to leave abusive relationships and gain lawful permanent resident status. During his tenure as regional attorney and now district director at the Equal Opportunity Commission in the San Francisco district, he's won millions of dollars for workers who have faced discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. He's been gaining recognition for his leadership and determination to fight on behalf of low-wage immigrant women who have been subjected to sexual assault and harassment at work. Bill is truly an inspirational man doing the great work. This advocacy on behalf of farm workers was featured in the June 2013 Frontline and PBS documentary, Rape in the Fields, which also aired on Univision. Despite his trajectory, Bill has never forgotten his roots and has always been there for our communities, making sure community members have a seat at the table. He's always mentoring students or new attorneys, providing legal consultations, and presenting at Know Your Rights events. Or he's swapping stories and playing with his band at community fundraisers. The Bills of the world make this world a better place, filled with hope and the tenacity to keep doing this work. It is our great pleasure to recognize Bill Tamayo as one of our 2021 Sanctuary Champions.
No. Well, thank you so much, Ada, and I really appreciate this. This is really an honor to be recognized for my work by the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant. And I also want to congratulate my fellow panelists, honorees, Ying Liu and Luz Hernandez, and thank them for all their work. I want to acknowledge my wife, Debbie Lee, my partner of almost 35 years, and my friends from the Asian Law Caucus and the various immigrant rights communities and movements that I've been a part of. Frankly, I was quite surprised when I was contacted by Sister Maureen, say about a few months ago, and she says that, EBSC wanted to honor me and have me say a few words. After all, it's been, nearly 35 years since we worked together to pass the Oakland City of Refuge resolution. But Irish nuns have had an impact on me since I was a little boy. You see, my parents are immigrants from the Philippines, and they sent my sisters and me to a school called Morning Star School, a Catholic mission school in San Francisco's Japantown. And of the 200 students or so, 85% were Japanese and 10% were Filipino. We were taught by Irish nuns, the Daughters of Mary and Joseph, which was a Belgian order, and a lay Japanese teacher. The pastor of St. Francis Xavier Church, which was the partner church to Morning Star, was Father Joseph Goodslow, a German priest who spoke fluent Japanese. This was my introduction to diversity. Was a very interesting way to introduce it, but maybe that's how I became a civil rights lawyer. Anyway, I was a very talkative, inquisitive, and sometimes naughty boy, which might explain why I became a lawyer who loves public speaking. From first grade to fourth grade, I managed to get in trouble pretty regularly. And not surprisingly, Reverend Mother Catherine Maria reprimanded me for doing the twist dancing the twist during assembly. Miss Fujimoto made me stand in the corner many times for talking too much and bothering students who were still doing their assignments. And Sister Sheila and Sister Celestine gave me C+, C, and C- in conduct in my report cards pretty frequently. And while I dreaded the annual open house because I knew my mom would be talking to my teachers, in hindsight, I realized that those nuns and teachers were indirectly telling me to channel my inquisitiveness and vocal skills at the right time and for the right reasons. So several decades to the 1980s, those Morning Star nuns, Irish nuns, passed me on to another Irish nun, Sister Maureen, who helped me to channel my energies and voice towards helping those fleeing persecution, fleeing violence, fleeing repression, and simply fleeing poverty. Together, we worked with African American ministers and other advocates to have Oakland pass its City of Refuge resolution in the midst of conflict in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Haiti. I have been very fortunate to have worked for 16 years at the Asian Law Caucus directing its Immigrant Rights Project. And there I handled cases of attempted exclusion of dozens of Asian elderly who received SSI benefits. I handled deportation defense, represented people seeking asylum who feared death and or imprisonment for their activities in the Philippines under the Marcos dictatorship, in Burma under the military junta during the 1988 crackdown, and in China pursuing religious freedom. And I hope he's listening, but I want to give a very special thanks to everybody's favorite law professor, Bill Hing. He has been my mentor since I started practicing law. He's my mentor in immigration law, and he taught me how to practice community lawyering. At the Asian Law Caucus, I worked on dozens of cases referred to me by the Asian Women's Shelter and other shelters. Those cases involved battered immigrant women who were at the mercy of U.S. citizen abusive husbands who refused to file visa petitions for their undocumented wives because they either ran away to a shelter or reported him to the authorities. Through a coalition of lawyers and advocates, we successfully got Congress to pass the self-petitioning provisions of the Violence Against Women Act, which allows battered immigrant women married to U.S. citizens to file their own visa petitions and adjust status. And as was mentioned earlier, over 120,000 women and thousands of children have fled abusive situations and gained lawful permanent resident status. At the EEOC, as the regional attorney and later the director, my job as an immigrant rights advocate was to ensure that the EEOC was relevant, meaningful, and helpful to some of the most vulnerable populations. When I started there in 1995, I would have to say that the EEOC was nowhere in the picture in fighting for the rights of farm workers, for those in rural America, Asians, and Latinos in general. It was an agency caught in a time warp, focusing on Black versus white issues, issues primarily of white women, and issues of urban workers. But with new leadership asserting that we needed to understand and address local issues, I reached out to California Rural Legal Assistance, the United Farm Workers, Líderes Campesinas, and they told me that if there's anything I could do, it was to address the fact that farm worker women were being raped in the fields by their supervisors. Agriculture is the #2 industry in California and is #1 in Washington State, which is part of my jurisdiction. Yet EEOC had no cases whatsoever involving farm workers. My training at the Asian Law Caucus taught me that I had to rely on the community to be our eyes and ears. And so I had them be the eyes and ears of the EEOC and bring those cases to us so I could file the lawsuits. And I'm very happy to say, and it was referred earlier, that the EEOC has recovered tens of millions of dollars for farm workers in sexual harassment and other discrimination cases. And we've recovered tens of millions for immigrant workers overall nationwide, and some of whom are trafficked from India, Mexico, and Thailand. Employers and advocates know that EEOC will fight hard in court, go to trial, and put all the resources needed to vindicate immigrant workers' rights. And they know that we'll fight to make sure that immigration status, immigration agents, and immigration law can't be weapons in a discriminating employer's arsenal. I hope you can see the frontline video, Rape in the Fields, and also the accompanying video, Rape on the Night Shift, that documents the EEOC's efforts to protect civil rights of Latinas. But tonight, I am back at home with the immigrant and refugee rights movement, and it feels good. This is my refuge, so to speak. Many of you are my heroes, my inspiration, and my comrades in changing the lives of those who are literally fighting for survival. I often say that to be an immigrant and refugee rights advocate, you have to have a lot of compassion, be an internationalist, and be a little crazy. After all, you're advocating on behalf of a sector of society that oftentimes is non-white, non-citizen, non-English speaking, that can't vote, that has little money, that is not organized, and that may face deportation. And if deported, they may face poverty or persecution or both in their homelands. And to top it off, it's a sector of society that's blamed for everything: unemployment, disease, drugs, violence, you name it, they're blamed for it. And yet, America prides itself as being a nation of immigrants, a refuge for those seeking liberty and a better life. And during this pandemic, we have seen many immigrants praised as essential workers, but they are workers without adequate PPE, without adequate wages, without health care, without papers, and who are sometimes told to go back to where they came from, and who consequently live in fear. No wonder we advocates and our clients sometimes go crazy. No wonder we get tired and exhausted. But all of you always get up and fight because deep down inside, you believe in the dignity of humankind. And for that, I want to give a special thanks to the staff, volunteers, and the board of the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant. You have literally saved lives despite the odds that you are up against. And I've been very blessed to have had a nearly 43-year career as a civil rights lawyer, working with so many dedicated advocates like many of you. To have been able to work with you side by side, physically and in spirit, in order to change lives has been an honor. And to be recognized by you tonight is icing on the cake. Thank you so much for all that you do, and thank you for this award.
Thank you, Bill, and all of our speakers and presenters tonight. Alex, Ying, our EBSC asylum clients like Fethi, Irma, Ella, Luz, and Vanessa. I have so much gratitude for all of your incredible work on behalf of immigrants. And thanks to all of you who have donated and are living out your solidarity. Because of you, we can continue to provide legal and social services to low-income immigrants and asylum seekers. And I really know firsthand, my dad was an asylum seeker, and when you impact one person, you impact an entire family, but also an entire community. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. So right now we've raised $32,082. We still have an opportunity to unlock about $3,000 in matching funds this evening that would really help push us over to the $40,000. So make sure that you make a gift in any way that feels comfortable to you. So really exciting update. You have until May 31st, don't forget. It will bring our total over 40,000, hopefully, if folks keep donating tonight. So please continue to text EBSC to 91999 to donate, or email events@eastbaysanctuary.org. You can also mail a check. You can send it via pigeon, however you would like to bring in all of that joy, hope, and happiness for this new era that is EBSC, that's been able to do the incredible work during a pandemic. I would say even coming up with all the innovative solutions possible to make sure that this work continues on. Imagine what's possible if we get to that 40,000. I bet triple or double, honestly. So tonight really is about East Bay Sanctuary and how your donation is a long-term investment in this movement for immigrant rights. Really. You've seen that there are folks who technically might come and go from EBSC, but you never really leave the community. There's always a space to come back. There's always one ripple effect from one person who touches another. We're such a strong community. With your support, we can support hundreds of families more. I want to thank you so much for your partnership this evening. It's been a pleasure to MC for you tonight. Now we're going to invite you to sit back, enjoy your pupusas, and enjoy a mini concert by musician Carsie Blanton, who writes anthems for a world worth saving. We're grateful to Carsie for the many times she's shared her music to benefit EBSC and social justice organizations. Enjoy and have a good evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here and for having me and for donating. You guys are just doing a fabulous job, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy to be involved. Beautiful words, beautiful work you're doing. there's been a lot of talk about how this work can be exhausting and we're fighting the good fight. And that's what a lot of my songs are about as well. So this one's called Buck Up, and it's sort of about flipping that switch when you feel exhausted and overwhelmed by all the things that need to change in the world, because there's a lot and they're all interconnected and it can be overwhelming. So this is called Buck Up. Been lying awake and wondering where it all went wrong. We're running in this human race and the odds are looking long. So I sat beside my hound dog and I looked into his eyes. I said, what's the use of trying? And to my surprise, he said, buck up, baby, come on, sick 'em. Make 'em laugh if you can't lick 'em. Keep on shining like you know you should. Keep on shining, that's the way to get it good. So I put my shoes on and I walked out in the street. The papers say we're on the way to starting World War III. So I took the hand of my paper man. I said, what we gonna do? He just started laughing. He said, I got news for you. You better buck up, baby, come on, sick 'em. Make 'em laugh if you can't lick 'em. Keep on shining like you know you should. When it gets bad, that's the way we get it good. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ooh, keep on shining like you know you should. Keep on shining, that'll get 'em good. They got the money and they're never gonna get enough. But honey, we got the love. Yeah. And we got friends who come out swinging. We get hit, we go home singing. La la la, like we know we should. We keep on shining, that's the way we get it good. We keep on shining, honey, that'll get 'em good. Buck up, babies. It's good to have songs in your back pocket for when you get discouraged. That's what I find. So I've been playing these little mini concerts mostly over Zoom for the whole pandemic for various nonprofits all around the U.S. who are doing really good work. I'm very happy to be able to play for you guys. And I just want to mention that, we all get in our own little bubbles working on our own issues and crusades, and they're all very, very important, and it can feel like they're the whole world. And the only reason I bring it up is because it's important to remember there's just millions of people all over the world working to help others just like you guys are. So remember that your comrades are out there even if you can't see them and you don't know who they are. And just for one example, I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do a song now called Down in the Streets. And I wrote this during actually the summer protests in 2020, last summer. I was in the streets of Philly. I bet some of you were in the streets in other places. And it really felt like there was a lot of love and a lot of rage, and they were really making things happen out there. And I find that those two qualities can be really powerful when combined, love and rage. Mama, it's a disaster, going faster and faster, and all of my heroes turning out to be bastards. Ain't no peace to be found in this company town, 'cause the house will keep winning till we burn the house down. So all my friends in the streets tonight, we go singing. All my friends who are down and out, we're gonna fight. All our friends in the up above, with all our rage and all our love, adding fuel to the fire down in the streets tonight. Well, they call it a riot, 'cause we ain't keeping quiet. But if you've been listening, we know you don't buy it. And they say we've been stealing, but who's the real villain? When we can't even make a living, now they're making a killing. So all my friends in the streets tonight, we go singing. All my friends who are down and out, we gonna fight. All our friends in the up above, with all our rage and all our love, adding fuel to the fire down in the streets tonight. Well, they can lock us up and they can knock us down, but we're the ones who run this town. We're gonna shout it out until we make them face. We're the ones who own this place. They can lock us up and they can knock us down, but we're the ones who run this town. We're gonna shout it out until we make them face. We're the ones who own this place. So all my friends in the streets tonight, we go singing. All my friends who are down and out, we're gonna fight. All our friends in the up above, with all our rage and all our love, adding fuel to the fire down in the streets tonight. Down in the streets tonight. Down in the streets tonight. Thank you. Thanks to everybody who's still out there listening. And thank you again for donating. I'm so impressed. You guys did a great job fundraising. I believe there's still some matching grant left. So don't delay. Do not snooze on this matching grant, y'all. Let's see. I think I'm just going to do one more song here if we have time. Looks like we do. This is a song called American Kid. But the truth is, it's not really about being an American kid as much as it's about being a kid and the importance of taking care of kids and being good to children, which I think is at the heart of so many of these struggles, including the struggle for immigrant rights. To me, the most convincing argument for why we should help each other is because any kid born anywhere in the world deserves a fair shake. I very much believe that. So this is called American Kid. My name again is Carsie Blanton. Thank you guys for listening. I was once an American kid, growing up on hollowed ground. Rode to the river on a pretty red horse in a pretty little country town. But I grew up fast and I cast my vote for the president. And I had my doubts, but I still had hope until I read the finer print. Don't look now, but it won't be long. They're gonna wonder what we did, and we'll have to admit that we done them wrong. God help the American kid. Oh, God help the American kid. Well, I read the news in the papers too, and I see them on the TV screen. Maybe they know not what they do, but I wish they'd say what they mean. We stole this nation fair and square, and a whole lot of people in chains, but it was all for the glory of God, I swear, and the glory of capital gains. Don't look now, but it won't be long. They're gonna wonder what we did, and we'll have to admit that we done them wrong. God help the American kid. Oh, God help the American kid. And all the little kids all around the world, some have and others don't. But God loves all the boys and girls. God knows America won't. I hear them holler in my head. Can you hear that lonesome sound? Well, it may be true that we made our bed, but I ain't taking it lying down. Don't look now, but it won't be long. They're gonna wonder what we did, and we'll have to admit that we done them wrong. God help the American kid. Oh, God help the American kid. God help the American kid. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, EBSC. Thank you for all of your work. Mwah.